The Bothy Storytelling Podcast is a member of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB. Welcome to the Bothy Storytelling Podcast. I'm your host, Calum Lykan, and here we are with another podcast, and this one is all about Harry Potter, or shall we say, the wizarding world. I've been doing loads of events over the last year about Harry Potter, and some of them are kind of fun and funky, and some of them are just bizarre, because it's wizards and witches and all that things magical. But before we get into that, let us have a little word from one of our sponsors. Back to School Again, hosted by Katrina Ingram, who is sponsored by Norquest College. She interviews people who have returned to the classroom in midlife and chronicles her own journey as an adult who finds herself back in school. You can also learn about the unique programs at Norquest College that help it provide learning opportunities for all. It's a podcast that comes out every 2 weeks, and if you are interested in this, it's at backtoschoolagain.ca. backtoschoolagain.ca. Back to School Again, Katrina Ingram, interviewing people who have gone back to the classroom in the midlife and all about her own journey as well. It's presented by Norquest College. So do listen to that at backtoschoolagain.ca, and remember to subscribe to this new podcast. Well, my whole life seems to always revolve around certain aspects, and one of the big things I've noticed is Harry Potter is something I just can't get away from. Not that I'd want to get away from Harry Potter. I thoroughly enjoy Harry Potter, the movies, the books. Wonderful. But it just keeps coming around. And Canada, my goodness, you're a wonderful country. Here you have a country which is full of Harry Potter events. There's one in Edmonton. There's one in Red Deer. There's one in Cochrane, did one recently. But there's not necessarily Harry Potter. Some are Enchanted or Wizarding, Witchcrafting Days, kind of just along the themes, but not using the Harry Potter name. For copyright reasons, of course, because, Harry Potter is a very protected copyright article. But, there's so many things going on. And even my friends, they've got the Movie Bikes company where they've recreated an iconic bike from that series. So there's so many Harry Potter things that go on. And I love it, witching and wizarding days. And I adore it. So this year, I did Kensington in Calgary. I did their in Witchcraft and Wizarding Day, because, it wasn't a Harry Potter day, but it was still themed. You could see everyone's dressed up in their Hogwarts stuff. Everyone's loving it. And there I am telling stories and having fun with it and enjoying myself and just loving the kind of theme. But there was medieval knights. There was parasol jousting, which was a strange one, but fun to watch. There was Vikings there was LARPing, and there are lots of stalls and booths and music and entertainment, and me telling stories of witches and wizards and giants and monsters and all things kind of in that theme. Absolutely loved it. I then did a day out in Red Deer, just a tiny wee event. Oh, it was lovely. Just in its infancy, still growing, and there I was entertaining the crowds and just having a laugh, dressed in my tweeds. I had this idea about trying to create a Mad Eye Moody outfit. But then I realised that, one, I'm not so Mad Eye and not so moody. So I kind of just thought, what am I going to do? So I ended up kind of throwing on. Remember I talked about the Sean Connery? Well, those tweeds from that outfit kind of work for Fantastic Beasts era. So I kind of did that, got a duster coat and kind of stoated about like that, kind of from someone from that kind of genre. Had a great time telling the stories. Loved it. Of course, there's the Movie Bikes, and we'll call it the Wizard. The bike is called the Wizard, just to be safe, but it's certainly very familiar to an iconic bike from that series. And of course, I was working with my friends, promoting that, doing the Movie Bikes. I wasn't dressed up on this occasion. I was just part of the team, but we're having great fun doing that, and I've actually ridden in it as well. He's taken me on a wee trip. around Calgary in that sidecar, and it is divine. So seriously, if you want to ride, phrasing, Calum, phrasing, I'll say it now. If you want to ride the wizard, I can't believe I did this. Have a look at Movie Bikes or Rocky Mountain Sidecar. And they do all these sidecar tours. Absolutely phenomenal. But, I was out at Okotoks, enchanted Okotoks, telling stories, hosting it, again in my outfit, just having great fun. Should have pointed out at the Calgary Expo when we were doing the Wizard, I got myself a wand. I did pick up Mad Eye Moody's wand. I'm a fan of Mad Eye. Forget Harry, forget Hermione. Oh, lovely Hermione. She's so sweet. Ron. Oh, everyone loves Ron. But I like Moody, and I was quite sad when his demise happened. But to be honest, I'm actually a big fan of the Fantastic Beasts movies. I actually think that's quite a cool kind of prehistory to the Harry Potter run-up. And Newt and all that, I actually find them much more endearing characters. I'll probably get shot for this, but to me, they are much more fun. And, I did the Enchanted Okotoks. That was great fun. And then I got invited out the blue to Cochrane. Now, Cochrane were having a wizarding day, but what they were doing is they were tying it up with Enchanted Beasts 2, The Crimes of Grimblewimble. Grimblewald. Grimwald? Johnny Depp doing Johnny Depp, basically, okay? And so I got to go out and tell these stories, but I also got to see the movie, and it was actually really good. But I will say, I'm not going to spoil anything for you. The worst part of the movie is an actor that I've admired for years, and that's Johnny Depp. I love Johnny Depp. Previous episode, Pirates of the Caribbean. Woo! Go Johnny, where's all the rum gone? All that stuff. I'm doing it again, sorry. I've loved him, a lot of his performances over the years, Sweeney Todd, stuff like that, but he was so weak as water in Fantastic Beasts 2. It was such a shame because to me that was the weakest part of the movie. The rest of it is phenomenal. Everything they're doing, imagery, scenery, costuming, it's all phenomenal. Apart from Depp, and I'm sorry, Mr. Depp, I'm really sorry. I love you to bits. I think your movies are great, but I don't think this was a good one for you. I don't know why. I don't know what's happening. I don't care. It was a bit of a shame. Other than that, though, you're phenomenal. You're my hero. Go for it, man. Apart from the personal life stuff you're being accused of, yeah, whatever. Anyway, I'll move away from that. Getting a little bit, I'm dangerous here. I'm digging a hole, folks. Digging a hole in the carpet. But yeah, I loved it, and I stood and told stories and all that, and then it happened. They had a fellow friend who was coming to do magic, so I was the storyteller in the movie theatre, which was awesome. Before the movie, I'm in front of the big screen telling stories. First for me, folks. One could almost say I made it onto the big screen. No, I didn't. I was just in front of it. But anyway, yeah, so I was telling that, and then, they had an after party at the library, Cochrane Public Library. Wonderful place. Get down there. Staff are amazing. Love yous all. And, but what was happening, it was a big snowfall hit us in Edmonton and all that got hit really bad. So the guy that was coming, a good friend Dan, was coming down from Edmonton to do magic, and he couldn't make it. So, of course, I'm there, and they're like, Calum, can you help? Can you tell more stories? And I'm like, oh. But the problem with this is people are expecting magic and not more stories. However, I had great fun telling the kids a couple of stories about the dragons and stuff like that and getting heckled by them. And it was so amazing because there I am on stage just having a laugh, doing my thing, entertaining, hopefully. Everyone seemed happy, and the kids are getting boisterous. And then I realised I have this thing where it's all going really well and I'm enjoying it, but it comes a time that you've got to stop the nonsense. So my tone changes very quickly and the kids all, and then I go back into friendly, happy, clappy. And it's an amazing technique that I didn't even realise I had. But it was so funny because at the end of the story, this woman came up and said, I'm really sorry. I need to apologise about the two hecklers. They were mine. And I was like, why are you apologising? She was like, well, they ruined your story. I said, no, they didn't. I said, if they weren't engaged, they wouldn't have interacted. So the fact that they interacted and heckled, as you call it, meant they were into the story and they were having fun. It's much better than them sitting there all po-faced and saying nothing. So I was in heaven with this, and this woman was actually like, oh, thanks, because she felt terrible that her kids had been interrupting. Well, I was the opposite. I was loving it because it meant that they were getting into it and I was entertaining them and having fun. And the adults were laughing as well because, you know me, I can't stop putting in a few adult comments as we go along. But the Cochrane Day was wonderful. The whole wizarding world of Harry Potter, I love. You know, I live in a house of Harry Potter fans. They read the fan fiction, they read everything. And of course, you all know my fear of snakes. Well, guess what house I got put in through Pottermore? Yeah. Slytherin, through and through. Apparently suits my nature. But the reason I love doing the Harry Potter stuff, and, you know, I always introduce this when I'm doing it, is because I came from Edinburgh, and that was the home of Harry Potter. And, you know, JK was a beautiful woman that came around a lot of the tour companies when I was there and introduced herself and showed us a little bit of the history. And although I'm not a great fan of some of the stuff she's done politics-wise, you know, when the independence in Scotland came about, she voted against it, although now apparently she's doing a big U-turn because of the way that the Westminster's doing things. But, you know, she was there, she took us around, you know, so Edinburgh to me is Potter territory. You visit Edinburgh and there's so many references, and I believe now that they've got a couple of Harry Potter stores since I've been gone. I saw a post the other day that a really cool coffee shop right in the heart of the Royal Mile is closing down and being turned into a Harry Potter shop, which I think might not be the best thing. I don't know. Anyway, Harry Potter in Edinburgh, you know, you've got Diagon Alley, you've got the school that kind of influenced Hogwarts, you've got the architecture that influenced the whole world, you've got Greyfriars Kirkyard. Now, if you ever visit Greyfriars Kirkyard in Edinburgh, there's many a tour does it. There is a Harry Potter tour, but the one I'd recommend is City of the Dead. They are a cracking tour company. I used to work for them, so that's not the reason. I'm not going to lie, I fell out with the guy who runs it, but he's a really good guy. And we fell out because I was being an arsey get, and to be honest, he can sometimes be too. Much love to you, big fella. But City of the Dead, I love it. They're a great tour and I'd highly recommend them. The guys that work for them, the guy that runs it, they're all good people that have got great passion. In fact, I know that one of them's just released a new book about Greyfriars Kirkyard. Charlotte, is it under Gotteridge? Has just released a book about Greyfriars Kirkyard. Have a look at it. I haven't had a chance to pick it up myself, but these guys are amazing, and they take you around this beautiful graveyard, take you into the Covenanters prison, which is the most haunted place with the Mackenzie poltergeist. But in that graveyard, you also have references to Harry Potter, McGonagall, Crookshanks, Moody, Black, Thomas Riddle, they're all in there. So this is a city steeped in Harry Potter lore. I absolutely love it. And then you have places like the Elephant House, which has in their window the home of Harry Potter, because apparently J.K. Rowling sat in there and wrote the books, which is kind of true and isn't. We all know the history. She was a poor woman, supporting her family, didn't have much power, money for electricity and all that. So she went round all the coffee shops in Edinburgh, it said, and basically wrote the books. But she did use the Elephant House, but the main one she used was actually apparently in the Royal Mile. It was a wee old coffee shop, looked out on the Royal Mile. She would sit in there and write. But the reason we give the Elephant House that claim is that that coffee shop got bought out by the... I once said the evil ones, but I can't anymore because my partner and my housemate works for them and I drink their coffee all the time. But Starbucks bought out that little coffee shop. So Elephant House quickly claimed the home of Harry Potter because we couldn't really allow Starbucks to have it. They've got enough. They do not need to be the home of Harry Potter. But Edinburgh is an exceptional place filled with ghost stories, filled with history, all based, and you can completely get where J.K. took her history for the Harry Potter series and took a lot of references. And then when you go into the Highlands, you know, you see that glorious landscape, all the castles, you know where she got it from. But I mean, Edinburgh's got history like the Wizard of the West Bow. It's got all these references to witchcraft and magic. You know, we burned a lot of witches in Edinburgh. There was a lot of witch trials. So there's so much stuff there that she could have picked on. But she took the positive rather than the negative. But she took a lot of the reference points and kind of turned it it and twisted it. If you're walking around Edinburgh, you'll see statues that resemble some of the famous characters from our book, or have at least influence. Down on Princes Street, guy's name escapes me, but there he is wearing a turban and a beautiful flowing cloak, and it's none other than the guy from the first Harry Potter book, who again escapes me. You know, it's been a while since I've read them, folks. You know, forgive this poor old Scottish storyteller for a lapse in memory. But yeah, I miss Edinburgh for the Harry Potter stuff, but I love the fact that over here there's so many Harry Potter fans, so many events going on. You go to the expos, there's people still dressed up in Harry Potter stuff. You know, I was at the last comic expo in Edmonton when we were doing The Wizard, and it was amazing because they had David Tennant there. David Tennant. The bugger never came over and said hello. I will point that out, you know. There he is. There's an opportunity to meet a fellow Scotsman. He refused to come. We tried to get him and his managers and all that to come and jump on the bike so we could get a photo with him, but whether he didn't get told or he was just too busy. But David Tennant was there, you know, from the Harry Potter, from the Marvel, a legend, the Doctor, the only Doctor. Okay, you want to get in an argument with me? Let's talk Doctor Who. There is only one Doctor Who of exceptionalness, and that is Tennant. The next one could have been Peter Capaldi, but the writing had gone downhill by that point. Matt Smith was decent enough. He was actually there at the expo as well. He was signing. He was busy, probably because he did the Royals and all that again. But, you know, David Tennant to me is one of the greatest Doctors. You know, Tom Baker as well. I'm not dismissing all the previous ones. Sylvester McCoy, Tom Baker, amazing. But David Tennant is probably one of the best Doctors, but he was also in Harry Potter. Wow, look at that link, almost seamless. But yeah, Harry Potter events in Canada blow me away. There's so many of them. People make such effort. So much fun. This year coming, I'm hoping to be doing more of them. Now, I say Harry Potter events, but a lot of them aren't called that. I will state that for copyright reasons. But they just have a theme flowing into the Harry Potter, because when people talk about witchcraft and wizardry, J.K. Rowling has done such an exceptional job that people now instantly go to Harry Potter. They now don't necessarily go to Tolkien. They don't necessarily go to Gemmell. They don't necessarily go to these epic fantasy writers of old. They now go to Harry Potter because it's such a popular and fun and well-written piece of work. Amazing. And it came from Edinburgh, a place that I worked for many years and still love in my heart. But Harry Potter events, Canada, keep a look at them. Witchcraft and wizardry events, enchanted events. And if you do, you'll come and see me, because most likely I will be there working, telling stories and having fun. This year I did take another little photo booth. I did last year the world's smallest wizard, which was great. And this time I took the world's smallest dragon rider, and it didn't work. Oh, I put so much love and effort into that. That broke my heart. It was nowhere near as successful. It was the one that I tried at the in Edmonton Fringe as the dinosaur, but I converted it with wings to a dragon. But it just didn't work. People weren't buying into it as much. And you know what? My days of street busking are over. Ended, I think. I'll stick to what I'm good at: speaking, talking, rambling. Speaking and talking. Yeah. Am I good at that, folks? I don't know. I just talk a lot. I just ramble. But, update on the beard. It's still not there. The moustache is getting stubbly, still not growing back. But there's more updates. All these podcasts are a wee bit behind schedule, for a very good reason. One, I got a wee bit poorly. Winter season in Canada, still adjusting, so I got the snuffles. You can probably hear my throat's still a bit tired. But also something happened. So, when I was doing the Cochrane wizarding event, a friend who does the medieval stuff in the nights, I think they're the Wardens of the Red Tower. Please, if I'm wrong, I do apologise. Him and his partner who works at the library appeared, and they had this puppy. Oh my God, they had a puppy, and he was gorgeous, and he was like a German Shepherd, a collie, something else cross, and he just was beautiful, and he was tiny. And of course, me being a dog guy, I just ran up immediately, and I love my cats. Big Monty, my ginger Tom. Oh, he's lovely. Big Monty. Oh, so handsome. Pterodactyl with his thumbs. Oh, I love Monty. Big meows and purrs. But they had this puppy, and he was beautiful. And I went over and said hello, and they were like, oh, we just picked him up from Cochrane Humane Society. And I was like, wow. And they went, his brother's still there. Oh dear. So that night, I messaged my partner and said, oh, I sent some pictures. Look at this adorable pup. Like, and his brother's still in the Cochrane Humane Society. And she was like, so we're getting a dog now? And I'm like, no. So the next day I look up on the website and he's still there and he's adorable. And he's called Scruffy. Because he's got all loose fur and he's just a scruffy, floppy-eared big boy. He's so handsome. And so basically my partner's like, you've looked at that website about 2 or 3 times now. Do you want to take a drive? We'll take a day trip. We'll go out to Cochrane. So we did. So we went into the Humane Society and they had some Bull Mastiff pups, cross. Gorgeous looking pups. And then there was Scruffy with his big sad eyes, his floppy ears. And he wasn't very active. Like, I was trying to stroke him and see him and he just wasn't interested. And I was like, oh, he's not got much energy. I don't know. So I crawled into the cage and gave him hugs. And he was a lovely, affectionate pup. And of course, my partner's looking at me saying, so we're getting a dog, are we? And I'm like, no. Anyway, Scruffy came home with us that night. And we renamed him Hamish. So we now have 3 cats. And we have a beautiful pup. Now, we don't know what he is. He's a collie cross on his identification. Definitely a bit of German Shepherd, but he's a snow dog. There is something in this dog. He loves the winter and he's got the thick coat. So we've had a lot of people say there's a wee bit of husky maybe, there's a bit of Malamute. One of my friends says a elk hound. They're all within the same sort of genre. But we reckon we've got one of those big snow dogs now. He is going to be a medium to large dog. He is adorable. He's so lovely and stubborn as hell. Like, he is so stubborn and he's going to be a challenge to train. But he's doubled in size in 2 weeks. He's amazing. So the reason the podcasts are a wee bit out of sync now as well is because I've been puppy training. Don't know if you know, those that haven't got a dog, how awkward it is to train a puppy. They are really annoying. You've got to make sure they don't pee and poo everywhere. So it takes a week or 2 to get them into that. He's great now. He goes to the back door and whines. He always kind of did. We only had a couple of wee pee accidents. But basically, you need to keep your eye on them. And it's kind of difficult. He's been in the booth with me while I've been recording quite a lot of these. He's being basically cuddled up in a cute little ball. I have a booth puppy. It's so good. My studio has its own dog. Oh, God, I'm showing the real me now. I'm a big sap for animals. I really am. He's went out because the booth gets too hot, so he's outside, and I'll need to kind of stick my head out and see what he's doing soon, make sure he's not, like, devouring something he shouldn't be or pestering the cats. The cats are not happy. Now, any cat owners out there, cats are very territorial and lovely, and they get used to things. Big Monty is not impressed that his dad has brought home something else that's taking his affections away. Story, our tuxedo, is kind of curious and wants to play, but then gets freaked out when Monty barges him. And Una, our princess, is just so peed off, it's unreal. How dare we bring that into her home? The problem is our cats are a wee bit allergic to him. They started sneezing. So we're kind of trying to get him, like, brushing him furiously and giving him fish oils to get rid of anything that might affect it, and hoping that the allergies we get over, because a couple of our cats are not impressed that they're sneezing so much. We've taken them to the vets, they're fine, but it might just be allergies. The life of a pet owner. But Hamish, he's adorable. Oh, I've got my puppy. I've always loved dogs. Anyone that knows me knows I love dogs. So I now have my own puppy to walk and play with. But with that in mind, we should probably get on with the podcast properly, and let's move on to a book recommendation. Now, it's kind of obvious when you're talking about J.K. Rowling's, when you're talking about the Harry Potter series, when you're talking about this, there's really only a couple of books to recommend. Obviously, the whole Harry Potter series, but one of the ones that I actually love is the Tales of Beedle the Bard. They're amazing stories. I love reading this book, and I've kind of always wanted to tell the stories. But I'm always a bit wary because, you know what? Although stories are out there and open, these are stories that J.K. Rowling has created, although she has created them using other myths and legends, so she's blended, which also creates a problem for me. It's hilarious. Every time I go to tell one, I start going into a different folktale because of the ones that she's adapted and adjusted, which is absolutely fantastic and funny when I'm trying to tell them. But there are obviously a couple of options here. You know, you've got The Tales of Beedle the Bard by J.K. Rowling's, just a separate book. I believe it actually comes in a 3-box set with the Quidditch Through the Ages and Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. There's a wee box set as well. But there's more recently another one which is kind of cool, actually. The Tales of Beedle the Bard Illustrated Edition. And it's Chris Riddle. Chris Riddle, the illustrator. I love this guy's work. I follow him on Instagram, so he's always putting me updates. He's the guy that works with guys like Neil Gaiman and loads of other great writers, and he does these beautiful illustrations. So this is a good one if you're looking for a fun and different Christmas present. The Tales of Beedle the Bard by J.K. Rowling's Illustrated Edition with Chris Riddle's illustrations. So I would highly recommend that. The stories are beautiful. You know, the Tale of the Three Brothers, Hopping Pop, Babbity, Rabbity, and the Tree Trunk. And God, you know, I can't even remember the names of the blasted stories, but I absolutely love reading them. And one day I'd love to tell them at an event. I will probably need to double check on copyright to make sure I can and not going to get like shot. Because, you know, J.K. Rowling has snipers everywhere. Oh, yeah, she protects her work furiously. Lovely lady that she is. And I don't blame her. I don't blame her for protecting her work. But that is definitely my book recommendation for this episode of the Bothy Storytelling Podcast. J.K. Rowling's The Tales of Beedle the Bard. Either the basic version, it's there. You can get the triple pack with the Quidditch and Fantastic Beasts version, or the one I really recommend because it's beautiful work is the one that she's done with Chris Riddle, the illustrated brand new one that's just out. So, Tales of Beedle the Bard, Illustrated Edition, J.K. Rowling's and Chris Riddle. That's my book recommendation. Obviously, after the book review, as you all know, we move straight on to our recommended podcast for this episode. We're part of the Alberta Podcast Network. There's a huge wealth of wonderful podcasts on there for you to listen to. It's all sponsored by ATB, and the podcast I think would maybe work with this one. There isn't any witches or wizards on it, you see, so it's kind of challenging. But I'm thinking this would be quite a fun one. Repodcasting is the name. And it's Janet and Lucia recast your favourite and not so favourite movies. They also cast Tony Danza. Because why not? Repodcasting, it's all about taking movies and basically, you know, we're used to Daniel Radcliffe, we're used to Hermione, whatever her name is. It's completely gone out of my head. But we're used to these kind of iconic figures in these movies now. So I think it'd be quite interesting to see how they would recast people for Harry Potter, etc. And of course, Fantastic Beasts. Certainly I would sadly recast Johnny Depp. As much as I hate to say that, because I love that man. Legendary. Willy Wonka. Amazing. You know, Edward Scissorhands. Who's eating Gilbert Grape? Oh, beautiful. Chocolat. Oh, divine. Sweeney Todd. Phenomenal. But you know what? Repodcasting, Janet and Lucia, recasting your favourite and not so favourite movies. So have a listen to Repodcasting, part of the Alberta Podcast Network, and my recommendation for the podcast for this episode of the Bothy Storytelling Podcast. Now, you may have noticed there is no story for this episode of the Bothy Storytelling Podcast, because really the history is the story, and the story is the Harry Potter and the wizarding world, and it's all out there to be read. Now, Edinburgh is filled with it as well, so highly recommend you finding some information on Edinburgh. For example, the school which she kind of based Hogwarts on, or one of them anyway, is a school right next to Greyfriars Heriot Watt. And basically it was, at its time, a high-walled school in Edinburgh. And it was actually classed as a school of witchcraft and wizardry because people were superstitious. And one of the things that they said they would do at that school would be on a Sunday afternoon, they would ride about on their broomsticks and put balls through hoops. They played what J.K. Rowling later adapted into Quidditch. This city and all the world of the Harry Potter and Wizarding World. There's so much there, so I'm not going to go into any stories for you. Also, one of the problems is a lot of the stories I would tell, I've already told. The Imp and the Orange is a classic example of Peeves the Ghost. That's kind of where one of the influences, I believe, came from. You've got so many little events throughout Edinburgh's history. The Wizard of the West Bow, now that's dark and menacing. The Witch Trials, very dark and menacing. But JK adapted them and made them light. So there's so much to see, so much to read up on, and so much to study. So I don't really have a story that I want to tell you for this episode. But there's lots there to get your teeth into. We all know Harry Potter. We all know wizards and witches. We all know people who love this stuff. Unicorns, Scotland's national animal. It's in Harry Potter. You know, it's all there. Dragons, griffins, snakes, basilisks. There's just a wealth of fun stuff. You know, so I hope that those who haven't read the books in a while get back into them. Go see the movies, rewatch them, have fun. Harry Potter, the Wizarding World, anything connected to that, always great fun. I highly, highly recommend it. But, you know what? Every so often, they do these events. Recently, they did the orchestra in Calgary did a Harry Potter event where they were playing the music. There's all these theatre and fun events. And one of the things that the Alberta Podcast Network is doing is it's working with SeatGiant.ca. What they are, it's a ticket seller for sporting, concert and theatre events. So if you see any of them coming up, go to this website, Seat as in something you sit on, Giant as in Rar or Hagrid, .ca. See what tickets they've got. Basically, put in the code APN, Alberta Podcast Network, and you'll get 5% off your ticket price. I've done it a few times. Absolutely wonderful. So have a look at it. SeatGiant.ca. Put in the code APN and save some money on some events that you would normally be going to. Because these events are everywhere and they're doing all these fun things. So you're bound to be able to get something for a Harry Potter or Wizarding event with a bit of discount, which I highly recommend. It's magic. Oh, do you see what I did there? Ooh, I should have had my wand for that one. But this has been another episode of the Bothy Storytelling Podcast. Please join us on Facebook, Calum Lykan Studios or Calum Lykan Storytelling. We're on Instagram under the same names, on the Twitter under the same names. Please find us. Drop me an email at calumlykan@gmail.com if you want to recommend anything for the episodes, if you want to come on and be interviewed, if you want to chat to me, if you've got a theme and you want to hear something about the episodes, come on. Drop me a line, connect with me. I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear what you want. We're going to get some interviews going in the next wee while as well. The studio's still kind of being built. I still need to pick up some extra equipment, but we're going to be interviewing some fun people over the next few months, and kind of the format of the show will change as we go, because it won't just be me rambling. Hopefully you enjoy me rambling, but it won't always be me rambling, because sometimes I feel that that's just too much excitement for anyone to handle. Anyway, folks, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Bothy Storytelling Podcast. Keep your eyes out for those Wizarding World events. Get yourself to the new Harry Potter movie. Get in touch with Rocky Mountain Sidecar. Jump in the tour. Ride the wizard. I've got to stop that phrasing. And just basically get out there. It's a wonderful world. There's lots to see and do. So many events coming up. I'll hopefully see you at some. I'm doing a few events over the next few weeks. I'm at the Calgary Farmers Market, just off Blackfoot. I'm at Rockyford Library this coming Saturday. I'm doing lots of fun events. I'll see you all there. But if not, I'll look forward to seeing you, hearing you, and listening to you all on the Bothy Storytelling Podcast.